The snow was falling harder than usual when the CEO stepped out of his car, cold, focused, and ready to face another day of ruthless meetings. But the moment a tiny hand tugged at his coat, everything stopped. "Sir, my mom didn't come home last night," the little girl whispered, shivering in the storm. He had never met her before. He had no idea that following her into the snow would change both of their lives forever. Leon Hartman, one of the youngest CEOs in the city, lived a life measured in seconds, meetings, and deadlines. People admired him, feared him, envied him, but no one really knew him. His world revolved around numbers, not emotions. That morning, the city was buried under a sheet of white. Leon stepped out of his car in front of his skyscraper headquarters, adjusting his coat as icy wind bit through the air. His assistant waited with files. His board waited with demands. His day was planned down to the minute until a small voice broke everything. "Excuse me, sir?" He turned and saw her, a tiny girl, maybe 7, wrapped in a thin jacket not meant for winter, clutching a worn-out pink backpack. Snowflakes had settled on her hair like tiny crystals. Her lips trembled as she looked up at him with eyes full of fear, and something else. "Hope, my mom didn't come home last night," she said softly. "Can you help me?" Leon blinked, confused. "Where is your father?" "I don't have one," she replied simply. It wasn't the words that struck him, it was how she said them. No bitterness. No tears. Just truth. Leon felt something inside him shift, a quiet ache he hadn't felt in years. Something he thought he'd buried along with the memories of his own childhood. "What's your name?" he asked Amy. "Amy, where do you live?" She pointed toward a narrow street swallowed by snow. "Just there. But Mom always comes home after her night shift. She never leaves me alone. I waited all night." Her voice cracked. "I'm scared something happened." Leon looked up at his glass tower, his assistant still waiting, the city still spinning without pause. For the first time in years, he broke from schedule. "Come," he said gently. "Show me where you live." Amy's cold fingers slipped into his gloved hand, and the two began walking through the snowfall. As they reached her neighborhood, Leon saw the conditions: broken streetlights, frozen steps, families struggling to keep warm. Amy led him to a tiny apartment with a door that wouldn't close properly. Inside, it was cold, too cold. No heater. No sign of food on the table. And no mother. Leon's jaw tightened. "Do you know where your mom works?" "She cleans offices, sometimes restaurants, she takes whatever job she can." Then Amy pulled out something from her backpack, a crumpled note. "She told me once, if something ever happens, I should show this to someone who looks kind." Leon unfolded it. In shaky handwriting were 2 words. "Please help." Suddenly, the CEO felt the weight of responsibility he'd never asked for, but could not walk away from. "Amy," he said gently, "we're going to find your mother." And for reasons he could not explain, he meant it. Leon started where Amy said her mother worked. Office to office, restaurant to restaurant, places where night shift workers faded into the background. No one recognized Amy's mother by name, but one guard remembered something. "A woman slipped on the icy steps last night," he said. "An ambulance came. I don't know her name." Amy's eyes widened. Leon immediately asked, "Which hospital?" Minutes later, they were speeding through the snow in his car. Amy sat in the front seat, hands twisting anxiously in her lap. "Sir, do you think she's okay?" she whispered. Leon glanced at her. "I won't stop until we find her. I promise." His words were firm, like he wasn't just talking to Amy, but to himself. A promise he needed to keep. At the hospital, they searched room after room, spoke to nurse after nurse. Hope rose, fell, then rose again. Finally, a nurse guided them to a small recovery room. "She had a severe fall," the nurse explained. "Mild hypothermia, fractured wrist." She didn't have emergency contact information, just a note asking someone to check on her daughter. Leon's heart dropped. Inside, Amy's mother lay weak but breathing, wrapped in blankets. When she opened her eyes and saw Amy, tears poured instantly. "Amy, baby. I'm so sorry," she whispered. Amy ran into her arms, sobbing into her shoulder. Leon stepped back, giving them space, but he didn't leave. Amy's mom looked up at him, confused and emotional. "Sir, who are you?" Leon hesitated, realizing he didn't quite know himself at this moment. "I'm someone," he finally said, "who should have helped people like you a long time ago." Her eyes softened with gratitude she didn't have words for. As doctors explained her recovery plan, Leon listened carefully. Her wrist would take weeks to heal. She would be unable to work. No income. No warm home. Amy tugged on Leon's sleeve. "Sir, will you leave us now?" He knelt to her level. "No," he said firmly. "I'm not leaving." Amy's eyes widened. Leon continued, voice steady. "You and your mother will stay somewhere warm. You'll have food. You'll have safety. I'll take care of everything until she recovers. That's my promise." Amy didn't speak, she just wrapped her arms around him tightly. Something broke inside him, something bitter and cold, and something new began to grow. Later, as they left the hospital and snow continued to fall softly around them, Leon looked down at Amy and her mother. This wasn't charity, this wasn't pity, this was purpose. For the first time in years, he felt human again. Sometimes, the smallest voice, the tiniest hand, can lead us to the warmest truths. In a world rushing forward, kindness can be the one thing that slows us down just enough to save someone's life and maybe even save our own.